It is unconscionable to me. It really is just unconscionable the way some people are being treated. One person in particular, at this moment, I just cannot believe how their family is treating them right now. Talking about my little sister-in-law. Well, yeah, she's not little anymore. She's 36 now, but I mean, I've known her since she was a preteen. I saw the girl grow up, and her family has literally turned their back on her. And to me, it is just unconscionable uh, that this is happening. I mean, my sister-in-law is uh, in the California Correctional Center for Women in Chowchilla now. Uh, she was convicted of DUI with grave bodily injury, and basically they accused her of driving drunk and running over a guy and then leaving him there. A little history on her. She was raised in a broken home. She was raised by her mom, not her dad. My father-in-law, who rest his soul, passed away last year, who was a very decent man. And I think that if she had had the benefit of spending more time with him and being raised by him, she may have turned out differently. I don't know, but I mean, that's the take I have on it. That things may have turned out a little differently for her if she'd have had the benefit of having her father around. But instead, she was raised by a woman who is a liar and a manipulator and who has no love in her heart except for herself, you know? And, I mean, my little sister-in-law, she grew up going to meetings and going out in field service with her mom, you know, but she was raised to have a great deal of disdain for her father, no respect for her father, no affection for her father. All she was taught was that that's a source of money, you know, and this is a way it would go. Her father would send the child support money, and mom would spend it on herself, and then my sister-in-law would be left with having to go to her dad's house and ask for more money, say an assembly was coming up and she needed a dress. He said, I just sent X number of hundreds of dollars to your mom for child support. She was supposed to use that money to buy you clothes and stuff. Well, she didn't. And so here he is forking out hundreds more so that she can buy 3 or 4 dresses for the assembly and the accoutrements that go with it, like shoes and a purse and all that other stuff. So, after my wife and I got married, my sister-in-law spent quite a bit of time with us. She'd hang out over there because she didn't like going home to mom's bitching and moaning about dad, you know. You know, she started smoking and drinking and doing drugs and screwing around at a pretty early age. In fact, years later, I found out that she had been having a sexual relationship with a 27-year-old man when she was like 13. If I'd have known about it then, if I'd have had my druthers, I would have beat the guy's ass and then had him locked up. You know, so I'm going to call that a molestation. I think at age 14, she stole her mom's car and drove it from Sacramento to Richmond or Oakland or something before the CHP stopped her and they picked her up, and then they impounded the car, and so my mother-in-law had to go all the way over there and pay I don't know how many hundreds of dollars for one day of impound, and then to get her bailed out. And she was a problematic child, you know, and I understand why, because I was eyewitness to a great deal of it. But you know, anybody that knows her probably figured that jail was going to be in her future somewhere down the line, you know. And we did what we could for her. You know, I tried to protect her. I mean, if she'd show up at the house with bruises, I'd go and knock the hell out of her boyfriend and teach him better, you know. She got picked up a couple of times, and she didn't call her mom. She didn't, you know, she didn't call her brothers. She called me and said, "I'm locked up. Can you come pick me up at the jail?" Or, uh, you know, "My boyfriend stranded me out here in the middle of nowhere. Can you come get me?" You know, and my wife and I would get in the car, and wherever it was, you know, out in the middle of nowhere or at the county jail or wherever, we'd go and get her, and we'd take her home with us, and we'd patch her back together and try and help her, you know. But I remember when she was about 16 or so, she wanted to be a witness. She wanted to live a more moral life and try to be better than she felt she was. And so she went to the elders and talked to them about wanting to be baptized, and they said no, that she wasn't ready, that they wouldn't even consider her to be a baptismal candidate. I mean, who the hell are they to say something like that? I mean, isn't baptism the beginning? You're supposed to do all these things and then become baptized? It doesn't make sense to me, but that was their stand on it, and it pretty much broke her heart, you know. So she went the other way. She delved deeper into the drinking and drugs and the sexual activities and criminal activities even. I think she was picked up for shoplifting, and when she was like 19, she got picked up for DUI. And I mean, she lucked out, you know. She found a lawyer who had an eye for her, and he was managed to get everything straightened out and swept under the rug, and all she had to do was sleep with the guy. It didn't cost her a penny, you know. And well, she was real cute and real adorable back in those days, you know. And you know, we did what we could for her, but I think maybe in the end we may have enabled her. I don't know. I mean, we just tried to help her, you know. But now she finds herself in this situation. I mean, I don't know if she belongs there or not. I'm nobody's judge. But from what she told me, and she showed me pictures of her car after this supposed hit and run happened. And I mean, she was supposedly driving all over the streets, sideswiped several cars on either side of the street, and ran over a man. And the car bore no evidence of any kind of activity like that, because there were no scratches on the car, there were no dents on the car. And I told her, I said, man, I said, if they say your car did all this damage, they should go, the military should go to Kia and ask them what they're making those little Kias out of, and they should learn to make tanks and airplanes out of that stuff, because there wasn't even a scratch, you know. But she was convicted, and I mean, the DA had a real red ass for her. I mean, she was screaming for maximum sentencing from the very beginning. And even the guy that got run over, he ended up with a broken arm, and he was back at work like 2 or 3 months later. And when the time for the sentencing came, he stood up in the court and he asked the judge for leniency. He said that he would like for her to be sentenced to time served, be put into a rehabilitation program so she can get cleaned up from the drugs and the alcohol, and then maybe some probation, but that he didn't feel that she needed any further time in the prison system. I mean, she went through half a dozen lawyers, and she jumped bail and was on the lam for about a year, and then they caught her again, and by the time everything was said and done, the DA was still pushing for 16 years in state penitentiary. And by the time it all got done, it was whittled down to 5 years. in the state pen. And so now we're getting to this other point. I mean, a while back I did a video, and I think I mentioned that her brother, my wife's brother also, had come by the house, and we had talked about my sister-in-law who was in prison, and he said, well, that's where she belongs, that's what she needs. And I said, really? I said, that's what she needs? You don't think she needs prayer more than anything? And he goes, well, yeah, you know. And so that's coming from an elder. You'd think the first thing out of an elder's mouth would be, we need to pray for my sister, but no, it's this is what she needs. She needs to be locked up. And what's really sad is that she wrote 5 or 6 letters to her mom and 5 or 6 letters to her brother, and they haven't even taken the time and bothered to respond even once to her. They've turned their back on her. No, she was never baptized. She never claimed to be a Jehovah's Witness. She didn't betray their oath to the watchtower or anything. All she did was get into some trouble and got locked up for it. And they're shunning her as if she had been a witness her whole life and was baptized and dedicated and everything, and then turned her back on God or something. You know, it's really, really shameful and hateful that her own family treats her that way. I mean, literally, of all her family, I'm the only one that's talking to her, and I'm only a brother-in-law. And it speaks loads to me about the lack of love and the lack of respect that these people have for their own family. And this has to be a learned behavior, because I know people who've never been Jehovah's Witnesses, who have never gone to a church, have never espoused any kind of a worldview that would be theistic in any way. They're complete atheists. And they love and respect their families more than that. And these Jehovah's Witnesses profess to have all the love in the world, the most loving people in the world, the happiest people in the world, and look at what they do to their family. This young lady, and I say she's young, she may be 36, I may be old for some of you listeners out there, but I'm in my early 50s, so she's young to me, and I think of her as a young lady. And she doesn't deserve that. And, you know, she wrote to me a while back and asked me for 6 stamps, 6 envelopes, and a writing pad. And I didn't have any problem doing it. You know, I went and I bought all the stuff, and I actually sent her a dozen of each. You know, a dozen stamps, a dozen envelopes, and a couple of writing pads. They don't let you send pens or pencils into the prison, but I sent her what I could. I write to her. I've written to her half a dozen times in the past couple of months that she's been there, and I always share Bible scriptures with her. And she says she's got her own Bible there, but I'm thinking it's probably a New World Translation, so she doesn't have a real Bible. So I'm thinking about seeing what I have to do to send her one. I mean, she could probably get one there if she asked for one, but I would like to have one with her name put on it and sent to her. And, you know, it's just, it breaks my heart that, that her mother and her brother and even her boyfriend hasn't written to her. You know, none of her friends, none of her worldly friends, none of the witness friends that she had, none of them have written to her. And it's just pathetic. And it just tells me how hateful and evil and how these people profess to have love. Like Jesus said, this is how they will know you, that you have love among yourselves, and they don't even have love for her. Excuse me. I'm really angry right now. I'm angry at these people for for what they're putting her through. I mean, the lowest point in her life. She's locked up in prison, and I always pray for her that nothing happened to her while she's in there, because prisons are violent places. And she wrote to me and she said, the violence is pretty much minimal, but every day there are fights. And she said just the other day, there was a girl went at another girl with a padlock inside of a sock. And she went after her and was beating her in the head with it. And everybody was put down on the ground on the yard in 110-degree heat and made to stay there for 40 to 45 minutes while they got everything situated and everybody put where they need to be put. And, you know, she usually likes to, when she had this mane of gorgeous red hair, she always dyed her hair red or burgundy, and now it's all black, and she's mad. You know, she says, my hair's midnight black again, and I hate it. You know, and she wrote to me and told me about it. And she said that it's longer than it was, and I said, well, I remember her hair was down to her butt. I don't know how much longer it could be, but if her hair is longer, you know, but if she's not dyeing it, she's not happy. If she's not getting a spiral perm put into it, she's not happy. You know, she really is quite the spoiled princess, you know, and I don't think she belongs in a place like that, but that's what the cards have dealt out for her, so that's where she is. And I try to keep in contact with her, to let her know the people out here love her, and that, you know, we don't want her in there. We look forward to the day that she'll be out. Now she's telling me in a letter, I got a letter from her yesterday, and she was telling me that she's got this very, very masculine female who's been taking hormones apparently, serenading her through her door every night at 8 p.m. She goes to her door and starts serenading her, singing old 50s and 60s oldies to her. And my sister-in-law and her roommate just roll around on the floor in their room and just think it's hysterical. You know, but I mean, this woman's got her eye on her, and if she doesn't give it up pretty soon, she's probably going to try and take it, and that concerns me, because she doesn't need to have a padlock put to her head, you know. So, I don't know, it's just, this whole situation, I mean, I can't imagine that she'd be living this way if she had been allowed to have her dad in her life, or maybe if her family weren't Jehovah's Witnesses in the first place, you know. Maybe things would have been the same, maybe they'd have been worse, maybe they'd have been better, but I put a lot of the blame on the Watchtower teachings, you know, because I mean, she needs encouragement now. She needs prayer. She needs her family, and they're denying her all of that. And for what? She wasn't even a baptized, dedicated witness, and they're shunning her. I mean, it's just, it just baffles me how hateful and how without love and without a conscience this group of people are made to be. And, you know, this whole Watchtower philosophy has got to be dealt with. I mean, the Holy Spirit is much more powerful than any demonic force. If we could all just pray that the Holy Spirit free the people that belong to Christ from that tower, free them from any cult that they're in, free them from the darkness of this world, we should be able to put a dent in this thing. You know, the Watchtower, it has people. I believe it exists to make money by misleading people and taking them to hell. That's what I believe. Not everybody they have belongs there, though. They've got to be able to come out. I know, because I've come out. Recently, my wife has come out. A lot of people that I know on the internet have come out. So maybe there's more people in there. I'm just making a plea to everybody out there. Let's keep praying. Let's keep working on getting people out. We don't have a whole lot of time. You know, we're not going to have an eternity here to get things done. So let's just put it in God's hands. In Jesus' name, let's all pray that all of the people that belong to Him come out. Well, I guess I'll end my rant there. God bless you all, and thanks for listening. I'm really angry, and I just really needed to speak about it. So take care, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.